Yo, what's up, guys? Look at us here with week 3 here for these deck submissions. So yeah, this is the first week where I actually got a handful of submissions, and I just first off I want to say, I appreciate everyone who sends in a list, and I don't have time to like really look and like talk to you guys on every list. There's a couple more that I consider based off of like what I want to play, based off of like what the theory is, and if it's tested, and if it has like interesting text I want to try out. And yeah, and then so the other part of that is just because I don't pick your list this weekend does not mean I won't pick your list the following week. And I'll definitely be hitting you up before I just throw it out there, and I'll talk to you in case anything's changed, in case I don't have cards that you've listed there. Like the Charmies is really the only one. And yeah, so we'll go over that stuff, and I like to get through everyone's list that submits something. That'd be the perfect scenario, but doing this week by week, it's going to take a long time to do that. So we'll just kind of see how this process works out. If I get lucky, maybe in the future I can start playing more and play more lists a week. That'd be cool, but I don't know. So that's future hopes for now. Right now we're locked in. Week 3, different deck style, completely flipped of what we've tried so far. This is really cool. This is it's a 59 card build, and our deck submitter today is, okay, I'm gonna butcher this guy's name. I'm so sorry. I think it is pronounced Lernonad. I don't know, buddy. I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's his name, and I've seen him a lot in the Discord. I've seen him a few times in the comments. And him and another guy in the Discord were mentioning this list, and saying that you try it out. And yeah, I looked at it, and it looked really clean. It was playing a lot of text I want to try out, and a lot of theories I want to try out at least. And yeah, I mean, I like it. And I guess we'll start getting into the list and start talking it over. So yes, 59 card list here. Yeah, so we'll just get into the Mermails first. First we have 3 Mermail Vistes, 3 Pike, 3 Squad, 1 Oshia, and 1 Gund. So I guess the quick notes here is there's no Megalo, which I'm gonna make this a recurring theme here. So it's a 59 card list. It could have been 60. There's a lot of cards I was looking at when looking at this list. I was thinking could definitely be in that 60th slot. One of them being the Megalo. People are hating on Megalo. I think it's pretty good until the Rumbling Atlantean comes out, but he's not playing it, so we're not going to play the Megalo. Also, some notes here is he's playing the Oshia, but he doesn't play that rank 3 in the extra deck, which I'm actually really happy about, because I think it's kind of garbo, or just not garbo. It's extra and not necessary, because the Oshia still gets you a couple cards. So like if you just have like Teus and like a water, then you can go like Teus, add special Teus, add Oshia, and then when you normal herd, you can send the Teus to summon like a Pike, and you can summon like Squad, you can summon even summon Shrine, depending on like what your hand looks like, depending on what you're doing. You have a couple options in there. And I also like that it's nice to have another card that Shadow can summon from the deck. So like there's other ways to get this card out, and it does provide multiple bodies by sending a 7 you control. So I do like that. Also being able to like even send. There's a bunch of these scenarios where this card can come up. So I'm definitely not opposed to playing it, especially in a list this big. So you hopefully should not be seeing these like one of additional extenders too often. But yeah, so we have the 1 Gun as well. I'm interested to see Gun again. I always love Gun. I appreciate it. I do know it's not as strong as it used to be, and even in my current list is kind of like I go back and forth on even if I want to play it or not. But I think especially in a list like this, let's give her a shot. Let's see if she can perform. And then yeah, like I already went over the 3 of the consistency cards. This is pretty standard at this point for the Mermails. Next we'll go into the Atlanteans. We have 3 Prince, 1 Infantry, 3 Shrine, and 3 Dragoons. So again, pretty standard Atlantean setup here. Nothing's really changing here. Obviously we'll just kind of get the 3 Prince, 3 Dragoons. This is standard. This is typical at this point. No one sent me a list yet that plays 1 or 2 Dragoons, so we're not messing with that yet. And then yeah, so we have 3 Shrine, and obviously you're going to want to max out on consistency cards like this, especially when you're playing the Colacan, the Deep Sea King, whatever his name is. So this card is definitely needed at 3, and it's really strong on its own anyways, and so we like that. And then the last one is just Infantry, where again, another 60th card choice. I would have thrown in a second Infantry as well. That would have been a nice little pull up. I'm even watching it completely like beside the fact, but I'm watching like the YCS right now in like Bologna. And there's a neat scenario where this guy had to deal with the skill drain, and thank God he had second infantry, or I don't think he would have been able to deal with it in the way he wanted to. So, and that's just a random neat scenario, and who knows what will come up. But I definitely feel like 2 infantry comes up a decent amount of time. So we'll see with this again. We definitely don't want to be playing too many bricks. Even in a 60 card list, you can just open all of your additional extenders. So I understand maybe not want to max out on it, especially when you're playing other cards like Gund and Yugioh. But yeah, so just want infantry in the list. I think that's fine. And now we have our deep sea cards. We're playing 3 deep sea diva and 3 minstrel. I totally get this in a 60 card list. You just need to have be maxing out on your most optimal ways of consistency. And while I do not like deep sea diva, I think she does offer necessary one card starter consistency that you want in this deck. And then there's some non-engines in this deck that make the diva a little bit better. So I think the diva's fine. And then yeah, obviously we're just gonna do the 3 minstrel. It's technically a starter. It's an extender. It helps going first. And yeah, so minstrel's just fine at 3 here as well. So no big shock there. Curious to see, just again, I'm always watching diva, just like are you ever worth it? So we'll see in a list like this if it really comes up or not. Next we have some our one of water targets. We have the Mulan, the Coelacanth, and we have the Armored Shark. So Mulan, obvious. The Coelacanth, yeah, super obvious as well. It's just standard, especially in a deck size like this. And then yeah, we have the Armored Shark. I understand why he's playing it here. Again, it's a 60 card list, so we shouldn't be seeing our one of additional extenders too often, and it's it has viabilities. It's nice to summon off the Coelacanth too, so I do like that additional extendability. And plus it just I also do like being able to play. We can find it here, like the XYZ Armored Fortress, because it lets you manipulate your water count a little bit more. Also gets you a pretty big body on board, and so I'm a fan of this card in this list. Overall, I've decided that I don't love the Armored Shark package, but I've only played it once, and it wasn't bad. So, maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe I'll continue to play with it today, and I'll actually end up liking it, and then maybe want to play it more often. And now we get into our consistency cards for the deck. So a really cool card we're playing with is we're playing with the area, whatever her name is, the water channeler. So the way she works is you discard her and a water from your hand, and then you can add a water from your deck that has an equal or higher level. So the only thing that sucks about her is that she basically searches everything and everyone but Prince, which is hilarious because you'd rather her search less, the lower less than, because you always want to go for Prince basically. But here she has a lot of applications. I mean, it's not too much of a problem because she'll send off a lot of your brick waters, and what she mainly does, I see, is that she'll have the option to get you to Shrine, but even more so have the option to get you to battle bodyguards and dragoons. Those are probably the main targets I'm looking at, as well as Teus as well. So she also gets you to Teus, so it's not bad. It's really not bad, and it can force out an interruption, force out a Nash. It can make your opponent think you're on better habit. So I can see this card being pretty strong, and I think it has a summon to field effect. Where let's see here. When your water monster is destroyed by battle, you can special summon this card from your hand. So I don't know how much of that's going to come up, but it is an effect. So if we open multiple copies and we use one for the effect and we have one in our hand, that might come up. Although I doubt it. That's not too strong of an effect. Other consistency cards here, we do have 3 small world and 1-for-1. 1-for-1's obvious here. We're just trying to dig for the Prince, and then a small world is a card where I didn't like in that Latency list I just played. Mainly because I'm just not a huge fan of Small World. It's not even so much the list. But here, I do think Small World is very strong because we have a card like Area. What's really cool here is that since she's a spellcaster, a level 5, and in the water with really awkward stats, she's basically a bridge to any water in your deck. And so I like that, at least on my end. I don't have to think so hard about my bridging, so I don't accidentally illegally bridge, because I know that the water channeler basically gets me whoever I want, Small World in banishing her from my deck. So I do like that. So I do think Small World would be pretty strong here. And then for our last little mandatory cards here, we have the Triana, we have the Mizuzuchi, and we have the Virtue Stream as just our search targets, for our end board pieces. I like that he's maining the Mizuzuchi, because this is the kind of list I would want to do that in, where you're playing 60, so you really should be opening this. If I open this, curse this card. But I don't think I will be, and so I like having that option going first. I just need to remember that I have it in my deck. But yeah, so now that's it for the engine of the deck. Now we'll get into the non-engine. So first of all, I don't know if I will be able to actually commit to playing these today. I might have to give these back as I am borrowing them currently. We do have the 6 Charmies here. The 3 waters and the 3 winds. And if I have to take these out, there'll be a little bit of playing around I might have to do. These might get replaced with a card in the side deck. Might get replaced with like Bestials potentially. I'm not too sure. I'm kind of gonna wing it depending on when I eventually potentially deal with that scenario. But yeah, we are playing the 6 Charmies here. You know, it's just why not? If you open one of these and you're going second, you're feeling pretty good, and Perulia is great because it's a water in general. And the Fuwas is a good small world bridge to get to Dragoons. Next we have 3 Ash as our last monster hand trap. You know, pretty standard, pretty typical. And then we have some spells here for non-engine. We have 3 crossouts and call by in the main. I do like this. I like that because we're playing the 60 card list. It just opens up a lot of opportunities. And the fact that, you know, we can now, since our engine is so large and we have so many consistency cards, the rest of our deck can just be all these non-engine options. And so we're really just playing all of the best, which I do like, because yeah, no, crossout is like opening crossout is just as strong as like opening even like Ash in some regards, or opening maybe not the Charmies, but you know, like as opening call by, you're basically playing 4 call bys now. And with the only target here not available is Droll or Shifter. So he does play Droll and Shifter in the side deck. But as another card that I thought that could be the 60th slot was that 1 Droll or 1 Shifter in the main deck, just so that way in those like niche matchups where you do get main deck Droll on game 1 or Shifter by temp by game 1, that, and if you have the cross out, you're fine. But he does not have that here, so we're not playing that way. And then last for non-engine here. 3 Impulse and 3 Infirm. So yeah, just the rest of the best of the hand traps right now. This hand trap lineup is pretty typical for this deck. I mean, I feel like you're really not seeing anything outside of like this selection of hand traps and non-engine. But yeah, so that is it. That is the 59 card list. Like I said, there was a couple cards that I'd see taking up that 60th slot. Another one on my mind is like Talents, because he plays Thrust in the side, and so maybe having 1 Talents in the main, just around at the 60, and then having that Thrust option, that Thrust target option, I thought would be nice. But he's not playing Tactics at all. So now we'll get into the extra deck here. Extra deck's pretty standard. Outside of he's not playing any synchros. And so for our big links, we have Zealantis and the Mermail King. Then we have Lacia. All pretty standard here. Not too much to say. I see people cutting Lacia. It was cut in the Lancia list, which that list is a little different, so I understand why. But I do like Lacia a lot. I think she offers a lot, and I think there's some ways where she'll actually be strong into going second into some boards at my locals that I hope I can like try and pull off. We'll see. It's just some stuff I was theoring about. But yeah, so Mermail King is a great card, obvious. We're still playing Zealantis. Eventually, I will resolve this card at least one time. For our other links here, we have 2 Coral Anemone, and we have the Abyss Keeper. We have the Abyss Keeper for the unfortunate opportunity to open the Deep Sea King, and we still want to have access to it. So what this card lets you do is it lets you special a fish from your hand. So it's just a lot of commitment. And one other unfortunate thing about the Abyss Keeper is that you cannot use it as link material. I think it's just that turn. Yeah, the turn is link summoned. So the turn you link summon it, it's basically a dead card on your field. It has some other utility where you can banish a fish you control and then banish 1 card your opponent controls. I don't see that coming up too often, but it might. Who knows? But yeah, mainly it's here just to summon the Deep Sea King from our hand if we unfortunately open it. And then the Attuned Enemies. I mean, this is feeling pretty standard at the moment, and I definitely understand the Attuned Enemy now. Seeing it in feature matches, seeing it from my own matches, I do like the Attuned Enemy, and I think it is required, especially because you can't recycle it. And so now we'll get into our XEs here. Just the 1 Poseidra, the 1 Giles. I understand why we're just playing one of these. I don't think more is necessary. The XYZ Armored Fortress for the Armored Shark combo. Abyss Dweller as a rank 4 to send off of the Armored Shark in our deck. Or as another rank 4 option into really, closing out boards going first. Or like closing out like certain deck types is nice, but I think one of the coolest utilities for Dweller is like actually going second with it, because it has that option to quick effect detach. And there's a lot of decks that utilize the graveyard, and so you can force out cards like Princess and Fire King. It seems pretty strong, and probably like other matchups I'm sure it's really strong as well. So I definitely like Abyss Dweller as just another rank 4 option in this deck. And then we have our 2 Bahamut's, 2 Toads, and yeah, so that's pretty typical. And then the 1 Leviature Dragon for the Virtue Stream search. And yeah, so that rounds out the extra deck. The extra deck's really nice, for sure. I think the only other card that in the extra deck I'm missing that I would like to see and I want to play with is I think it's like number 4, the Kraken, where it's just really good in the shifter boards versus Tempai. It makes all your opponent's monsters water, and it has like a non-targeting pop, and it burns. We're not seeing that here today, but eventually I'd like to be able to play that card. And then lastly to our side deck. So we have the 1 shifter for the crossout target. We have the 3 droll. It's just a solid hand trap, and there's a lot of matchups where I do want to be able to side in drolls for. And yeah, it can conflict with impulse, but in a deck like this where you have so many cards in your deck, the likelihood of you opening droll and opening impulse are too likely, and you can always just use the droll first. And then so the only unfortunate circumstances where this card will come up is where maybe if you Fluoros and you impulse and then you draw into the droll later, but at that point you've already played so much, so what are you really concerned about? So I don't think it's too much of a problem, and I do like droll a lot. And then so now we have 3 droplets, which I'm really happy to be able to play. I think Droplets is a super cool card. I think Droplets will be really strong going second, especially when you have the Charmies involved, so you have a lot more discard fodder. And then there's other scenarios where now we have another way to dodge our Diva. So if we do manage to open this and Diva, that's feeling pretty good. And what I really like as well is that I definitely need, as well, in combination with the 3 Cosmics, we definitely need some help playing in Centurions. And so being able to open Droplet for Centurion is just really strong. So I'm definitely happy with the Droplet. Also with the Cosmics, I mean, after finally having to deal with like deck lockdown, I am very afraid of that card, and so Cosmic will probably always go into my deck going second. So I think those are nice. And then the last 5 cards here we have are Triple Thrust, and then for our targets we have Dimensional Barrier and DGG. I think that's pretty good. Like I said, I would have liked to see Talents in the main deck to round it off at 60 and then have that Thrust option. Now we do have other Thrust options, like Impulse is a good option, even Imperm. We also have the Virtue Stream. We have Small World, and we have 1 for 1. So we do have consistency cards that we can search off the Thrust. So I don't think it's bad in any sense. I just personally like to be able to see tactics, as well as like there's no Evenly here. There's no Dark Ruler no more. You know, the only like real locals like match I'm afraid of not having Evenly for is a deck like Rescue Ace, where Rescue Ace can their back row. This deck has a hard time in the back row, and they can kind of lock us out from playing, and so I do like having the Evenly for that deck, and even not having Dark Ruler no more is a little scary, but he's not playing it. He's confident in it. He talked a little bit about it, how this deck's been doing pretty well online for him, and he hasn't played it in person yet. And so I hope I can play this deck and do a decent job, and then maybe he can get some personal feedback on what things he ended up liking, not liking, and yeah, my goal with this deck is to. So what I've kind of learned from my last 2 playthroughs with you guys' decks was I learned that I need to work on like my order of operations. I need to work on, you know, when to play cards, what cards in my hand, or what options I have, like what are my priorities and what are my win conditions really, and then knowing how to bait cards out and trying to play around those win conditions. And then also the other thing I want to work on today is I want to work on, if these scenarios come up, which is Yu-Gi-Oh, so it's not super often, but when to hold back playing resources and not overextending to get to the same result anyways, or seeing the fact that if I can't win in a single turn, then maybe I should be playing for the follow-up turn rather than just playing to do most of the damage or almost clear his board and then kind of leave on nothing. Then maybe I should be playing for a longer game, which I've had trouble doing in the past. I'm very much just like play all my cards, throw everything out there, and if it doesn't work, I lose. I want to work on that, so I hope that I can do that today as well. So those are kind of the 2 things I'm looking at to do with this deck, as well as I'm very interested to see how the consistency works. How Small World feels, how Area feels, the Water Channeler. Honestly, I really hope she's good because I like her. I think she's a cool card. It's just, you know, we have so much consistency in a 40 card list. She's not really that like necessary, I think. But yeah, so we'll see. So thank you so much, Lernonad. I don't know, man. Please correct me on how to say that. Maybe it's Lernonad. I don't fucking know, dude. I'm so sorry. All right, well, we're gonna get into these games here, so thank you guys for tuning in, checking out the list, and yeah, let's get into it. Peace.